Hello, it's 3:30. I hope that everything in your world is going strong. I hope you're healthy, and I hope that you're not being overly affected by this heat. I want to talk to you a little bit today about my little graphic right here. Several years ago, I worked in a state prison, and one of the inmates had this little, uh, it was a handmade plaque, a little handmade sign that he had up over his desk, and it said, "Don't take the bait." Many times in our lives, we find ourselves in situations where somebody's trying to get us to take the bait. They may be trying to sell you something in a Facebook ad. They may be trying to sell you something on television, or they may be trying to bait you into an argument. It's very easy to get baited into something sometimes if you don't know that it's there. Now, we catch fish by putting a bait on the end of a hook, putting it in a pond or a lake or an ocean, and then that fish comes along, sees something that looks good, and takes it. Then the hook gets him, and then there's a fight, and in a little bit, we hope, we take him home to cook and to eat. But in our everyday lives, those things that are baiting us are not baiting us for someone to eat, I would hope, but they are baiting us into behaviors. They are baiting us into situations that we otherwise might not would get into. Many times I've talked to you some in the past about staying in your own lane. Today I want to talk to you about being careful what you absorb as part of your intellect. Are you baited into a bad way of thinking? Media is really strong about trying to bait us into a mindset or bait us into having certain behaviors so that they can do more news. Now, some of my friends in media and some of my friends are in journalism and reporting don't do those things, but many of them do, because everything becomes all about how much they can get us to buy into an idea, to do a thing, so that they can report on another thing, so that they can sell more advertising, so that whoever owns the company can make more money. And very often we find the news is slanted one direction or the other. One concept or another is what that mogul who owns that media station wants to promote. But we find ourselves equally as often being baited into arguments and drama with our neighbors or with our family or sometimes our extended family. I want to talk to you to encourage you to do this, just a couple of things. One, make sure you know what's important to you and why it's important to you. Why is it important to you to go on this trip, to make this thing, to buy this thing, to be at this place? Why is it important? And once you know what's important and why it's important, it's easier for you to stay focused on the important things in your life that are there and to not get sidetracked or jump off on something someone else thinks is important. I find myself very often being invited into situations for conversation where someone will say, "What do you think?" And all of my friends and definitely all of my immediate family will tell you that sometimes that's frustrating, because when you ask me a question, I think about the question. I think about what I think I heard you say. What are the possible answers? If I'm thinking about what I think I heard you say and what your possible answers might be, is there an underlying reason why you've asked that question? And how can I best address what you really want to know? And then sometimes I'll ask a question back for clarification. I'm not just going to take the bait to jump into a conversation where I don't know everything about what we're talking about. I want to be well grounded, and I want to be true to the values that I hold. I want to be true to the concepts that I hold, and I want my integrity to be strong and solid before our conversation, after our conversation, and I want my reputation to still be strong after our conversation. So my encouragement for you today is to be careful what you're involved in conversation, in your what you're reading, what you're interacting with. When I say conversation, I mean your spoken conversation, your online conversation on your keyboard, your texting conversations. Be careful what you're getting drawn into for talking. be careful, very careful, what your responses are. And be sure that you remain true to what's really important to you. Don't get drawn into somebody else's issue. It's all right to listen to someone else's perspective, but don't chase the other person's issue. Don't get drawn into the other person's drama. When you hear something, a conversation or a question, or you see something posted on your media pages, and you begin to say, well, I'm going to just stop and think for a minute. Are you taking the bait? Is somebody trying to pull you into somewhere where you don't need to be? Is there a hook that's going to be set that makes you buy something or deny something that you believe in, or agree with something that you really don't agree with? It just felt good at the time. Be calculated in your responses. Be careful in what you say. Be careful in what you text. Be careful in what you message, because it really is important that people get to know the real you, that they know what's important to you, what's important about your mindset, your concept. And don't get drawn into those things that would get you out of your lane, away from your values. Don't take the bait. Maintain who you are. You're good enough to be who you are. You're good enough to be where you are. Your goals are important. And I believe in you just enough to encourage you, or exactly enough to encourage you, to be who you can be, better than you thought you could be, but at least be all that you are without taking the bait and getting messed up. Like I said, I believe in you.